Blog Talk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being on my program. I'm Armando S. Sanchez. I'll be your host tonight. And we're very happy and proud to have Dr. Enrique Murillo from the campus of California State University, San Bernardino. And what we're going to emphasize is the LEAD Summit VII conference, which will be on March the 30th, 2016. It's an all-day conference. It will be podcast and webcast the entire day. Thank you, Dr. Murillo, for being on the show.
You're very welcome. Do you believe this is 7th year? Whoa,
I
know. Time has passed. I cannot believe it. I am going, oh my God, it's been 7 years. I remember having a conversation with you in the early days about webcasting. Remember, webcasting was a novelty. Nobody was even doing it. And when we brought it up, hey, let's webcast it, people looked at us like we are crazy knuckleheads. But now we're like heroes, you know? the pioneers in webcasting. You really are the pioneer. So I'm fortunate that I was able to take advantage of your knowledge and expertise and your sense of what is the future. And so I'm fortunate that I was able to kind of tag along and tug on your coattails. So thank you once again, Armando, for allowing me to be on your program. And here I am to talk about whatever we need to talk about.
Well, first of all, let's talk about how far this conference reaches. You know, how many countries has this reached? And what's the projected number that you've reached over the 7 years on this conference?
Okay. Well, we are reaching now 20 million people in our summit. And so most people think like, what, 20 million people? That's a lot of people. But we have to consider that, first of all, we have anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 people who are there in person. And they're sort of like our studio audience, the people that are there live, they're interacting, with the panelists. They're there at the exhibit tables, the whole thing. But what's very interesting about our LEAD Summit is that we can transcend time and space using internet-based technologies. So together with our academic computing, our media people at the university, we set up cameras and we stream it across the internet. And over the years, we have been lucky, and every year it builds and builds, but we have now more than 1,500 town hall viewing sites. And according to our records, last year we reached 39 countries. And but on top of that, we have a partnership with CNBC News Radio, and we have a partnership with Time Warner Cable. So we're able to then take advantage of their audiences. So all together with the internet radio programs like we're doing now, Blog Talk, podcast radio, all together, the print media, magazines, anything that we can say is an audience, it now totals 20 million.
Absolutely. And you're sharing the information that is available in the local area, i.e. San Bernardino, and now you're sharing it worldwide as well. So we congratulate your foresight in bringing these wonderful panels together, and they share very critical information. So tell us about the day as we're coming up to March the 30th, 2016.
Yeah, so this is our 7th year doing it. Last year we took a year to rotate it to San Antonio, Texas, right? So we were in Texas, but now we're back to our home base, and we'll be here for a few years, and then maybe we'll be able to rotate it out again. I know the Minister of Education of Costa Rica last year put it in a bid. She really wants us to go to Costa Rica, so maybe the next couple of years we'll be in Costa Rica. But this year, it's Wednesday, March 30th, on the campus, as always, at California State University, San Bernardino. And it's a one-day-long conference. Actually, we call it the Summit. And what we're telling people is we're asking some very critical questions. We're asking them, are they ready to make a difference in the Latino community? That's the number one question. Are they ready to make a difference? Do they want to connect with and be part of educational leadership? Do they want to find cross-sector solutions to improve the education and the lives of all students? And when we say Latino students, we're not segregating ourselves and saying only Latino students. What we're saying is that we've been experiencing an educational crisis, but Latino students disproportionately bear the crux of that educational crisis. So we're asking people to raise their hand, step in, and get involved. We believe that Latino education is where the greatest improvements and the most fundamental changes must be fared. So it's a one-day summit, and we convene stakeholders across the board. So we're talking about teaching professionals and educators, researchers, policymakers, academics, scholars, administrators, independent writers and artists, program specialists, of course, students and parents, families, civic leaders, activists, advocates. In short, anybody who shares a common interest and commitment to the educational issues that impact Latinos. So we all get together in the same room. People that normally, oftentimes in kind of our regular lives, would not necessarily interact with each other. But in this case, we have students next to the policymakers, next to the politicos, next to the grassroots organizer. We're all in one room, so we can figure out collectively, right? The thing here is collectively, how to collaborate so we can solve the problems for ourselves, not look to other communities, not look to outside forces, but we as Latinos have to solve the educational crisis for ourselves, you know. And we spent the first few years exactly doing that. What is the crisis? What are the problems? What are the issues? But, you know, that grows old. So after a few years, we're kind of tired of talking about the problems. The next thing is solutions. What are the kind of solutions that we think need to take place? And then we started identifying programs out there, models that then we think would serve the purpose of scaling up. So if it works for this community in this town and state, well, then maybe it works in another place across the country. So then we've been doing that. And now, interestingly enough, we exist in a transnational, in a global space. We are global citizens for all purposes, and really the nation state is kind of too small for us to kind of look at that. So as Latinos, we transcend borders, and we have, like I mentioned earlier, 39 countries now that are participating in this. So it's not just Latinos within the territorial United States. There are people all over the world who are interested in what we are doing here, because quite honestly, we are the poster child for the kind of work that has to be done at the grassroots level in order to improve the educational lives of all our children. We start with the Latinos because we bear the crux of that crisis. And again, we believe that disproportionately, you know, we bear that, and that's where the most work has to take place.
Absolutely. You know, you talk about what I like about your program is the sense of urgency. First of all, the economy of California is dependent on this labor force, and obviously the demographics of this state has switched over to being primarily Latino as being the majority in the schools. And the other thing that I think anyone that attends this conference will get the sense right away that what you mentioned, it's solution proactive oriented. You know, you've already documented the issues. You already have but there's so much of a proactive attitude that goes on in the atmosphere, in the conversation of everyone that's there, and that message gets across around the world. And that's what I find very, very unique in your conference. And
yes.
In closing the show, could you please give us contact information for our listeners to find out more about the information and how to attend on March 30th, 2016?
Yes, thank you. We have a website. It's leadsummit.csusb.edu. Again, our summit takes place Wednesday, March 30th on the campus of Cal State San Bernardino. If you are local to Southern California, I would say you need to come in person. But, of course, we know that's impossible. Not everybody lives in Southern California. So there are many outlets. But the principal outlet that if you aren't able to come in person, we encourage you to participate in the live global webcast, courtesy of LatinoGraduate.net. Or you can watch it on Time Warner Cable, the Channel 3 and the government channels, or you can listen to it on both AM or FM on CNBC News Radio. And we have a fantastic program this year. We have a bunch of things. We're gonna premiere a brand new novela educativa about the extreme discipline that the young black and brown youth experience within our K-12 school system. And that fits in nicely with our theme this year, which is Black, Brown, Indigenous Unity. And we're going to open up the day with a ceremony of honoring the ancestors. We're going to have Aztec dancers together with a West African drum and dance group. And they're going to dance and drum side by side to show that black and brown unity. Then we're going to talk about the issues of the mass media and the occurrences of violence and killings and brutality in our communities. Then we're going to talk about Project Inspire, which is a program that works with parents to increase their knowledge about schooling. Then we are going to have our afternoon keynote speaker, featured address by the Honorable Antonio Villaraigosa, who was the 41st mayor of Los Angeles, California, and who now is the national chairman of the advisory board for Education Post. So that's going to be a huge one. We have a special panel on Catholic schools and where do Catholic schools fit in terms of Latino and African American student achievement. Then we have another panel on the rising selectivity of public universities, and namely we're going to hear, in this case, we're going to talk about California as a case study about the need for greater access to higher education. And then we have we're going to talk about the campaign to promote ethnic studies using the El Rancho and Long Beach models. And then we're going to close off the day with our capstone address by Dr. Maulana Karenga, who's a professor and chair of Africana Studies at Cal State Long Beach. But he is most well known for being the creator of the Pan-African cultural holiday that we know as Kwanzaa. And this is a huge lineup, and we invite anybody to come in person or to watch over webcast or listen to it on the radio or watch it on Channel 3 at Time Warner Cable.
We wish you continued success on the LEAD Conference, Summit VII, March the 30th on 2016. So could you please, as we got a few seconds left, give us the website again and we'll sign off.
Yes. So you can get all the information. You can register for free if you're going to come in person. It's at leadsummit.csusb.edu.
Thank you very much, Dr. Murillo. I wish you success. I hope to be there as well, and I look forward to hearing more, ladies and gentlemen. It's a worldwide program. Please contact them and you find more information. Thank you for being on the program, Dr. Murillo, and we look forward to talking about LEAD number 8. Adios.
Adelante. Gracias.